Okay, we'll be starting soon. Terry's checking in. How you doing, Terry? Good to see you, as always. We will be talking about Hurricane Lee again today. Talking about the most updated forecast on Lee. So see if we can get a few people to join in on the live stream. As always, go ahead and leave a comment. Let me know where you're watching from. Let's focus in on some of those areas. Definitely, obviously, you know, those areas that are going to be impacted, you're going to want to know what those impacts are going to be. So go ahead and leave a comment. Go ahead and like the video. Go ahead and share with friends. If you're on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and like the video. It's always appreciated. Let's get this information out to the people who need it the most. And even if they may not need it for this particular storm, they may need it for the next storm. So go ahead and share the video. Like the video. That way we can get this information out there. And again, for those who may need it in the future, if it's not going to be for this particular storm. I've got Renee shouting out from DeLand, worried about Volusia beaches. We'll talk about some of those impacts here shortly. In fact, let me go ahead and bring down the music. How's everybody doing? Good to see everybody. As always, welcome to the Bearded Weatherman. If you're new to the page, I am a former Navy meteorologist. I now am a meteorologist for an airline out in Salt Lake City. I don't like to use the name of the airline because I'm not speaking for the airline itself. But I have about 20 years of experience now in meteorology, going back to 2005. So lots of experience with tropical meteorology, and as always, if you're new to the page, I like to just show you what I started out doing, which is for the Navy. This is the Fleet Weather Center there in Norfolk, Virginia. That's where I was based, and you can see that our area of operations was pretty large, encompassing all the way from Naval Air Station Corpus Christi over here to Cyprus and the Mediterranean, or the Med as we call it, Sigonella, Sicily, Naples, Rota, Spain, all the weather that those areas were impacted by, all the climate zones, the tropics, of course, all the way down into the South Atlantic. So we had a pretty large area of operations to deal with. And so again, because a lot of people are new to the page, or coming on to the page for the first time, when these storms are out there, obviously there's more light on these when there's on these storms out there, and more coverage and more visibility. I again like to go ahead and present my resume, and some of you heard it many times. By the way, I got to get a comment on YouTube last night that my introduction was way too long, and that this person was not going to subscribe because of it. Too long of an intro, and too much unnecessary information. Well, to quote the great Steve Martin, well, excuse me. Okay. But I will get to Hurricane Lee today, here in just a moment. So again, if you're coming onto the page, go ahead and like the video. Go ahead and share with friends. Go ahead and subscribe on YouTube. You can watch these videos on YouTube on your smart TV app, and so maybe you can see them a little bit better. If you're watching on your phone, it's a little hard to see sometimes. So that's something you could do as well. All right, Levi checking in. He's saying hello. So we will get this train going. Don't want to don't want an unnecessarily long introduction. I swear, I don't know. We will at some point look at where is it? I was gonna show. I'll find it. It's basically the wave watch models that show possible impacts to the beaches, but we'll get there in a little while. Let's start out with the big picture. As always, the synoptic scale, as we call it in meteorology, that is the big picture. We want to look at the big picture as meteorologists because we want to get an idea of where is the weather now, where is the weather going, right? Obviously very important when it comes to doing forecasting. It's pretty clear. We can see Lee out there, way out there in the Atlantic. Large storm. You see how big this storm is. So Lee is out there, and we'll check in on the forecast on that. We also have some waves over here coming off of Africa. I believe this is a tropical system. I'm not sure the name of that one, but that one's expected to stay way offshore, so not quite as important to discuss, although we'll check in on it. So that's the big picture right now. You see nice large ridge over top of this storm that's giving it the ability to strengthen, and it certainly had strengthened quite a bit last night, all the way up to a Category 5. I believe now it's been downgraded to a Cat 4. I think it's pretty strong Cat 4. We'll check the latest from the National Hurricane Center, but showing a little bit of weakening that's going on. I believe there's a little bit of dry air that's getting sucked into this storm or entrained into this storm. You kind of see, well, a little bit of dry air, but also you see some wind shear definitely affecting it. See this kind of slot that's been carved out here, a little bit of westerly wind shear that's carving into that storm, and we can kind of look at that a little bit closer. Let's get over here. You see this kind of notch right here? See that notch? That's definitely some wind shear that is affecting the storm. You can kind of see it. See this sort of these clouds kind of moving over here. See them kind of that direction, and that's that wind shear is kind of affecting the storm right now. So that's what has caused a little bit of weakening. Let's go ahead and get the latest from the National Hurricane Center. This is as of the 5 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time advisory, which of course is going to be 4 p.m. on the is it 5 p.m. 4 p.m. I don't know. I think it's 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Anyway, it's the latest update just from the last hour or so. Maximum sustained winds 150 miles per hour. So it's right there at that top end Category 4 intensity. It is not quite to that Cat 5 that it was. Cat 5 is 156 miles per hour plus. So we're not there, but we definitely have a very strong storm out in the Atlantic, and that obviously will be affecting things like shipping and bringing a lot of swell, a lot of rough surf into these areas in here because of how powerful this storm is, and so that's a hazard there for the Leeward Islands over here and the Greater Antilles Islands. So that's what's going on there. It is expected to be to continue as a major hurricane all the way through middle of next week, Wednesday. You see, here's the cone. Basically, that cone has definitely shifted north of any impacts to the Caribbean, so that's great news. And as you can see here, a little bit of a shift now showing, which we talked about last night, towards the north and northwest a little bit. And that was to be expected, as we discussed last night, as the models have indicated that this storm will not be threatening the U.S. That's the latest model, so we'll check those. Here's the Euro ECMWF ensemble here. So this runs a number of different scenarios. An ensemble forecast means a number of different scenarios. But you notice that all of the scenarios, except for one outlier here, are kind of close, coming in close to the Bahamas, is basically showing an offshore storm. I mean, you see the black line here down the center, that's the mean or average track. Again, I'm not the best with the drawing with my mouse, but you see the black line indicating that the majority of the models and the mean or the average of all of the models go directly down the center of that cone and directly away from the U.S. Okay, now that doesn't mean it might be throwing some pretty intense swells, maybe rough surf into the East Coast, which of course is a hazard. Rip currents and things like that set up with these that kind of surf coming on shore. So we will look at that in a minute once I find my wave watch model, which for some reason is not showing up. It is down. It looks like that model's down, but I'll find one anyway. You see that the majority of the Euro is saying offshore. The Euro is a model that I definitely rely on, definitely very accurate. And then going to let's see, going into the American ensembles, which is the Ensemble Prediction System, EPS. This is going to be your Canadian and American models, a blend of the two. You notice here's AEMN. Sorry, see the AEMN, that's American Ensemble. Here it is over here, red line. Definitely shows way offshore too. See that? And then the Canadian Ensemble, yellow line here. Sorry, not the best with this mouse here. Shows also way offshore, maybe even a little bit further offshore. So, see that? So, again, still, the models continue to forecast an offshore storm, continue to forecast no threat to the U.S., and that's my thinking on it, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And it's based on computer modeling, and it's based on what we discussed last night, which is a long wave trough that is going to be affecting this system. And you can see right now that there's not much going on as far as a troughing, but as you move into these areas, you see a little bit of troughing there. Troughing is associated with low pressure. Low pressure is less stuff, it's less dense, so therefore the storm, which is of course very dense, is going to move into those areas of lower pressure and less density and less stuff in the upper atmosphere that will guide that system, will start to guide that system soon out to sea. And then a very potent long wave trough here over the central and eastern U.S. that we talked about last night, then going to move into this area and also affect this storm quite a bit. So those are the scenarios, those are the meteorological conditions, if you will, that will affect this storm enough to pull it out to sea. And obviously that's great news for us there in well, all of those folks that are in Florida. They will be spared, in my opinion, from any landfall or any impacts from this storm. And if you're a meteorology guy like me or a weather geek, I can show you a little bit better indication of what will be moving this system offshore. So this is let's go ECMWF here, let's go upper dynamics. We're going to just show you the steering patterns in the upper atmosphere, which of course is important. Let me get to this. There we go. There we are currently. There it is out there. There's your storm. Big ridge over top. Again, this is keeping it from really moving too far north. Also giving it good outflow, as you can see here. See that outflow. Light upper level winds. Enabling this system to continue to maintain its intensity and strength. Okay. And so let's go forward in time with our forecast. You see the ridge continuing to be in place, but now watch as we get up a little bit further. Getting up. Here we go. Now look at this trough here. See the trough moving in? That's directing this system. See the streamlines? See the arrows there? That's the indication of where the 200 millibar winds are going. Okay, that's the wind flow in the upper levels, very high up there, 35,000, 40,000 feet up. That are going to steer this system and that steer these big hurricanes and tropical systems and are responsible for the motion of these, the track of these. So you start to see the trough now in moving in, right? So that steering flow, once it gets into this area, is going to pull that system out to sea. Start to see now, see how it's moving north, right? Here's now a very potent trough that we were just discussing, moving in. See how the wind bars are all flowing that way. See that? And it's pulling this system up in that direction. There's the trough is going to be, again, less stuff, lower pressure, an area for, or lower height falls, if you want to be completely technical, for all you folks that are watching me and seeing if I really know what I'm talking about. I'm sure there's a few. But in any case, this very potent long wave trough is moving in. This is also the jet stream, you see. See this? This is the jet stream, basically, that's up there at that altitude. And continuing to pull it. Now look. You see the trough right here, right? Okay. That is, again, continuing to pull it out to sea. Long wave trough, jet stream, very fast moving air up there, moving that storm along with it. Continuing, and now look, we are now completely caught up in the long wave. Now we're going extra tropical with this particular hurricane, meaning it's going to weaken, become more of a traditional low pressure system or mid-latitude cyclone or baroclinic mid-latitude cyclone, cold core system. It's all the same thing. It's basically losing all its tropical characteristics and being moved further out to sea. Again, not threatening the East Coast. Maybe threatening Nova Scotia over here. And but by then, you know, windy, kind of a windy storm. You know, it'll bring some rough surf, things like that. Terry, thank you so much, Terry. Terry was sending stars my way. That's very much appreciated, Terry. Bravo Zulu to you. Big time support of the page. Very much appreciate your support over the years, sir. You know that I appreciate you, bud. Okay. And then out. There we go. Okay. Now. So there you go. That is why the Euro pulls it out to sea. Let's see what the GFS does. That's the American. Again, there's the trough. Here it is. See the trough? This is by next week. Thursday of next week. Continuing on, pulling it out to sea, pulling it into Nova Scotia up there as a low pressure system, extratropical. So now we have the American model. That's the global model, right? We have the Euro global model. We have the Canadian global model. We have the ensemble prediction system, which pulls in all the American and Canadian and blends them together and gives you the highest probability of a track forecast. all in agreement, all very tightly clustered in this offshore storm, potentially impacting Nova Scotia by, what was this, next weekend maybe? Yeah. So, 8 days out. And that's why I don't think it will impact the U.S. I've said it before a few times, and I'll say it again. I almost feel like I'm getting a little tired of saying this. But, I know. You look at this, you see, well, what if this thing goes that way? Look like it could go that way, right? If you prog it out, or we call it progging, or progressing in meteorology. But again, the National Hurricane Center, very conservative. It's not going to give you any more than a 5-day forecast on the very, very, very minute chance that this storm shifts. And this is what you see on the local news. And you probably get, you think, oh, geez, this is kind of concerning. Now, I think in the Weather Channel and other broadcast outlets, they do show these longer-term models, so hopefully you've seen those too, and you understand that I'm showing you the same information they're showing you. This is all public information. It's all free. It's all readily accessible to you, so you can take that information and use it for your own good. Bravo Zulu Terry, by the way. As we said in the Navy, anytime anybody did something good, we said, Bravo Zulu. All right, that's Lee. Lee is forecasted to stay at Cat 4. There's no indication that it's going to go Cat 5 again. Again, we talked about the wind shear. We could talk about one more element that is causing that to be, yeah, there it is. See this dry air here? Here we are, right here. See the dry air? That dry air is what's carving that notch into this storm, Lee. See that dry air? The brown shades are drier air. Green is moisture. Makes sense, right? Your grass is brown, it's dry, right? If it's green, it's moist. This is a measurement of relative humidity, way up there from 700 millibars to 300 millibars, or hectopascals, as they say in meteorology, but it's the same thing. Basically, high up in the atmosphere, there's some dry air that's being entrained or pulled into this system to prevent it from strengthening back up to that Cat 5 level. And if you continue on, you see continuing to be influenced by dry air. So, good news there, because that means this system won't be gaining much strength because of that. And let's see if we can see our wind shear values here. Go back. Not much shear. Definitely some shear over here, but not much shear that's really affecting it for the core of the system. See the lighter values, see the yellows in there. That's not quite as bad, but some shear is affecting it for sure. And let's see if we can see going out a little ways. Watch it. Yeah, some shear definitely starting to affect it as that trough comes into play right here. Okay, and then let's look at what kind of dry air we got out there. Not too bad at that point. And in fact, you notice, see how the green's now wrapped around the core again. The dry air sort of off, away on the periphery. See that on the periphery of the storm? That's why the model's showing it deepening back down into a possible Cat 4, or continuing to be a Cat 4. Where it will then at some point affect Nova Scotia. Be throwing some serious swell and rough surf out towards the New England coast, so it definitely want to be swimming at that time frame. But very fast moving winds there. Let's see if we can get the wind speeds at that point for impact potentially next weekend. Again, this is pretty far out, so it could wobble, could go further out to sea. But we're looking at values of, let's see, Browns are in the 50 knots, somewhere in there. Tropical storm force, maybe a little stronger, 46 knots. So tropical storm force wind conditions, probably not any kind of hurricane conditions. Let's see if this half B shows me something. No, that's another storm. We'll look at the rest of the tropics in just 1 second, I promise. Here's the halves B. Continuing very strong by the middle of the week. I think it's starting to shrug off that dry air. Getting very potent, maybe even back to a Cat 5. But again, the forecast as of right now is not for a Cat 5. This is out to sea. There's no land threats here. But this model doesn't go far enough out to show you what happened there in Canada. But models are kind of indicating that strong winds, probably up there. That we call it gale force. Once a system has transitioned from a tropical to extratropical, it's no longer called tropical storm force winds. We now call them gale force winds if they're above 34 knots or 34 knots or greater, or storm force winds once they hit the 50 knot range. So potentially storm force winds, strong winds, or gale force. Terry, Bravo Zulu to you. Another star sending more stars sending my way. Again, if you want to support the page, like Terry, please consider sending some stars. I don't do this for money. I don't make any money off ads or anything. I basically just do it because I love it. But it's certainly nice to get a little support because I spend some time looking at this stuff and it's just greatly appreciated. What was I gonna say? I don't know. Yeah. So that's Lee. That's Lee. Let's look at the rest of. I'm lead out. I'm lead. I don't know where I'm going with that. Anyway, I'm kind of getting a little tired of Lee. Honestly, Lee is a beautiful hurricane as far as. Especially last night, the presentation was beautiful at Category 5. Potentially going to get back up there if the half-speed hurricane model is accurate. But again, the guidance, the track guidance is really all in very strong agreement that this storm will stay out to sea. And that's going to be also my prediction as well. Here's Margot, potentially becoming a hurricane at some point early next week. But staying well offshore, no threat to the U.S. or any kind of land, and that's a good thing, right? Let's look at the rest of the tropics, and this is our 7-day outlook. Again, no threats over the next 7 days, according to the National Hurricane Center. And we can go to the Euro and see if we can look out a little bit further, because they go 7 days out. We can go 10 days out with the Euro. So let's see if the Euro is picking up on anything. Last night it didn't. And there's Lee staying offshore. I'm going fast, but maybe something here. Maybe some kind of low pressure system over here. But for late next weekend. But we are well out there towards that 10-day mark, so we got to really take this with a grain of salt. As far as that forecast, it's accuracy of the models at that time frame are not nearly as good. Definitely not nearly as accurate as they are a little bit further in towards the event. So I am not seeing any threats on the horizon as of right now. other than Leaf or strong, strong or lots of surf thrown out toward the East Coast. Let me see if I can find that stinking Wave Watch model. Where are you at, Wave Watch model? I swear to God. Noah Wave Watch. Where are you at? Wave Watch model. Let's see what we got here. Is this it? I don't know. I had a link to this. I hope I didn't delete it. I swear, finding some of these links for the National Weather Service, not easy. No Wave Watch 3, not there. I don't know. And I don't believe there's any kind of modeling on here. Nah, that's annoying. I want to try to get you some model data to show you what kind of surf we might be seeing for this. Let me see if it's under general weather here. Is that you? No, that's not you. Bear with me. Oh, you know what? I can go look at the Navy analysis, because we did that kind of analysis. Obviously, we were looking at ocean. Where's my analysis? There's my analysis. That's Europe. Current analysis, not much. See if they got a forecast. We used to do forecasts. I don't know. We used to do it, but I don't know if they do it anymore. Let's see if we got an interview this. Nope. Bear with me. I know this is live, guys, so you're going to have to understand that when you're doing something live. What is this? Is this it? Oh, of course not. High winds and seas. Not even showing the hurricane for some reason. The winds and seas. I don't know. I'm disappointed. We used to do an analysis of high winds and seas when we did it. All right, Terry's talking about a little bit cooler weather coming in, and that is a result of that front. So we'll just skip to that. I will see if I can't find something. Bravo Zulu to Terry once again. Terry, thank you for all of this support tonight. And Terry sending some stars my way, so that's definitely greatly appreciated. If only I could find this Noah Wave Watch 3. What's this here? Is this it? Did I find it? No. This is annoying. Guess I'll have to... What is this here? Nope. Nope. I wanted to give you some kind of forecast for your... I wonder if this is it here. Of course not. It's for the Pacific. I'm trying to remember, where did I find that? Alright, you're tired of me looking for this already. Suffice to say that in fact, maybe the National Weather Service will discuss it. Dangerous surf, life-threatening rip currents affecting portions of the northern Leeward Islands. We already talked about that. Will spread towards Puerto Rico, Hispaniola, Turks and Caicos, Bahamas, and Bermuda through the weekend. So don't go out there and swim, please. Also, way too soon to know what level of impacts Lee might have along the U.S. East Coast next week. Particularly since the hurricane is expected to slow down. It's going to be caught under a ridge, and then once that trop comes in, it'll pull it out. But anyway, regardless, dangerous surf and rip currents are expected along most of the U.S. East Coast beginning Sunday and Monday. So, Sunday and Monday. You're going to start seeing those rips out there. Hopefully you know how to spot a rip if you're in Florida. Let's see if you... let me show you in case you don't know, because this is important information for those of you who want to go swimming. And let's see if we can put this image up. Of course not. No, I don't like that image. Let me get you a better image. Here we go. Here we go. Right from the National Weather Service. Boom. So where's the rip in this picture? For all of you on those guys, those of you Floridians, those of you who are surfers, those of you who are familiar with the beaches, where do you not want to swim? Terry says it was 62 when I left for work. Very nice. Weather's starting to get a little more fall weather for you there in the there in Florida. It's been in the low 50s here in Salt Lake at night, so we are definitely experiencing fall a little bit earlier maybe. Terry says it should be easy to see. I think it is easy to see if you are experienced enough. Don't swim here, please. Don't swim there. That is a rip current, and it will take you right out there, and then out there. So what you want to do is, if you get caught in the rip, you don't want to fight it. You want to just let it pull you out, and then once you get out to where the rip is, basically you can see the end of the rip here. You want to swim now parallel to the shore, right? And then once you get out of those rips, actually I would probably swim this way in this case because you can see a little bit of a rip here. Parallel to the shore, and then hopefully the lifeguard has just spotted you by then, and then you just swim right back into shore. So that's rip currents. Please avoid rip currents. Please avoid swimming coming up starting Sunday through the week on the East Coast, as this storm is going to be throwing some swell at you. I wish I could see the wave watch forecast. I'll find it for tomorrow, so you surfers out there can kind of see what kind of swell you're gonna be looking at. But I would expect that it will be throwing some pretty good swell out, especially there in the Outer Banks where there's no real continental shelf to interfere with that surf like you see there in Florida, unfortunately. Terry says, arms up like a V if you need help. Put your arms up like a V. Okay. Yeah. If you need help, let them know. If you don't put your arms up, they can't see you, right? Most lifeguards are going to be trained, or no, not most. Lifeguards are trained to know and identify rips from the beach or from their towers, and so they're going to know when you're in danger typically. But again, if they can't see you, you're going to get your arms up there. Don't flail around. Don't panic. Let it carry you out, because if you fight it, it's going to tire you out, and that's how most people drown in rip currents. You let it pull you out, and then you swim parallel to the shore until you can get to an area where you can then swim back into shore. This is information we all learn as youngsters there in Central Florida, especially growing up close to Daytona Beach, Ormond Beach, where I used to go every summer with the family. All right, let's look at your local weather. Terry, and then we're out of here. Terry mentioned nice, cool conditions coming into play here. And this is going to be, where are we at? A factor or a result of being this trough. See the trough? When you have the wind flow that's straight out of the north, see that northerly winds? Winds always follow the parallel to the ISO heights here, or ISO bars. Take a little drink of some mineral water here for that. Except when you're close into the center of a low pressure system at the surface, then they will flow perpendicular. For the most part, as you can see, the wind flow is parallel to these iso heights here in the upper levels, iso heights in the upper levels, iso bars at the surface. But in any case, what's happening right now is you're getting a little bit of that north to northwesterly wind flow coming down into the state of Florida, where you had a front go through. Let's see where that front is right now. Can't see it on this. We need a surface map, but in any case, probably over here now. But in any case, seeing a little bit of that nice dry air because it's coming off the continent, right? It's not. There's no moisture over here really, and northerly winds generally, the colder air is going to come from the north, right, towards the poles. So that has been bringing some milder conditions to Florida, and looks like that will hang out for another until tomorrow. And then you get some onshore winds again. And that is from the Gulf. Of course, the Gulf is warm and moist, so unfortunately it looks like muggy and warm conditions will return. I will check my, just to show you kind of what I mean there. So right now, kind of cool conditions, 70s there, right? But then tomorrow, back in the 90s. It's Florida, guys. I mean, you know, what do you want? It's Florida. So again, saw a little bit of drier air here. See 40% humidity with that trough that pulled down in there. But then for tomorrow, we are back to 90s as far as the humidity values. Terry, thank you for the support, man. Lots of stars tonight. Really appreciate it. If you want to support the page, that's a great way to do it. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to share with friends. And then finally, just to kind of check in on the weather in your area, you see that front over here. Let's get the forecast for the rest of the week. Here's a little front. It's kind of stalled out. Again, showing chance for rain throughout a lot of the state tomorrow there in Florida. Lots of chances for rain there on the Gulf Coast, East Texas, the East Coast, all chances of rain. Out here in sunny Utah, dry Utah, no rain. But then going into the afternoon, for certain areas down in southern Utah and over the mountains there in central Utah, you're seeing some rain chances. Going into the weekend, that front stalled out. This is a stationary boundary. Unfortunately, not going to bring any nice drier conditions for you, I'm sorry to say. Any chance for rain, says Terry, in Central Florida, because that's where he is. Let's check the current radar. And all this green here, this is not rain. This is called ground clutter. It is a function of trees, lots of trees around Central Florida and buildings. So unfortunately no rain for Central Florida. There is some showers down here, scattered showers for South Florida. That's the current radar. And as far as whether or not we're going to get any rain for Central Florida tomorrow, we'll pull up our Florida forecast. Here's the local forecast. And that is for tonight, of course, down south of where you're at in DeLand, of course, Terry. Not overnight. A little bit of maybe some scattered showers for tomorrow afternoon in certain areas, but looks pretty dry over there for the east coast of Florida, east central Florida. That's Saturday night, nothing. Again, some scattered showers, sea breeze, thunderstorms maybe for Sunday afternoon. That's going to be more, looks like, toward the center of the state. So maybe some showers there on Saturday or Sunday, and that's potentially the case. I don't like using what are called convective allowing models this far out. They're usually only good up to about 24 hours. And in fact, this is from earlier. I don't know if this even happened. Did you see storms earlier today? I don't know. You're welcome, Brandon. Trying to check in on your local weather here. I don't know if you saw these showers and thunderstorms today, but if so, then that model did verify. Going into overnight, because we don't have the sun heating up the earth causing convection, good. Brandon said we had those storms, so that means this model's verified. In other words, it means it's not out to lunch, and it can be relied upon a little bit. Again, overnight, no convection, the sun's not heating up the earth. It's nighttime, so you're not going to get any kind of weather at night as far as sea breeze type thunderstorms. As we all know, sea breeze thunderstorms set up in the daytime. Here we are Saturday. Not showing much for Saturday. Keep going. Maybe some scattered showers for Sunday. But I hesitate to use this model, called a convective allowing model or a CAM, that far out in the future. These typically are more accurate over like 12-hour increments. Let's see if maybe the GFS picks up on anything here. Activity. That was today. That's tomorrow. Yeah, so maybe some scattered showers again toward the coast. So that's good news if you're looking for some rain. This is tomorrow. Sunday. That's too far out to tell. Precip forecasts, precip modeling is difficult for the models to handle it. And unfortunately, it's just not the best. I would defer, in this case, to the National Weather Service. Looking at the short-range forecast, here's tomorrow. You see, again, the hash marks mean chance for rain, chance for thunderstorm. Yeah, chance for thunderstorms is a hatch. So here are some of the areas where you might see that tomorrow. Again, some good rain in the center of the state, maybe towards east central Florida. There's a little troughing going on here. That trough is the sea breeze boundary. So looks like some rain chances for sure for tomorrow. And then going into Sunday, some rain chances maybe or thunderstorms potentially along the coastlines here. And going into the rest of the week. I want to check one more thing before I'm done, because this will help you to determine if we have a sea breeze. Where are we at? OPC. I'm looking for my. Looks like another star sender over here. Thank you. Let's see what we got. Terry sending stars. Terry, don't break the bank now tonight. But thank you so much for your support. Bravo Zulu to you, Terry. And again, if you want to send some more stars my way, that's for anyone. Please consider that. That is definitely appreciated. Again, I don't make any money off the ads. And Brandon says, kind of cool out there. Yeah, kind of nice today, but unfortunately, that pattern is going to shift again tomorrow, and you'll get hot and muggy conditions, which I showed you a minute ago. What we're looking for when we look at sea breeze weather is a high pressure out here, kind of towards Bermuda. That's called the Bermuda high. Very common in the summer, which causes our miserable and muggy conditions on the East Coast. because the wind flow is basically going clockwise, right, around the high. See the high out there? And when it does that, it feeds in very warm, muggy air off of the ocean, off the tropical Atlantic. That air then meets up in the middle of the state from the sea breeze, from the Gulf, because once it starts to get hot over in the Gulf, the little circulation starts up, the air starts flowing in onshore. Once these two onshore breezes meet, wherever they meet, depends on whether or not the onshore flow from the east coast of Florida is stronger versus the west coast of Florida. If that's stronger, that will tell you the relative position of where the sea breeze will start. So if that flow is stronger from the east, a little bit weaker from the west, guess what? The sea breeze will start on the west coast of Florida. If you see stronger flow from the west and weaker flow from the east, guess what? The sea breeze starts closer to the east coast. If you have equal flow from both sides, from both bodies of water there, it starts in the middle of the state. Okay? So, as forecasters, it may sound like, the cliche is, well, it's so easy to forecast Florida weather in the summer, and to some extent that's true. It rains and thunderstorms every day because of the nature of the state. The geographic position of the state is a peninsula. It's between two very warm bodies of water, and so it gets that kind of flow. It is actually a little bit more challenging to predict where those sea breeze thunderstorms will initiate or form. And really what I would do is I would look at my observations from the morning there in along the coasts, the west coast and the east coast of Florida, and I would see from which side is that wind flow stronger, and then that would help me to determine where the afternoon thunderstorms would initiate. It's a good forecast tool for forecasting sea breeze thunderstorms. So there you go. And one more thing, because I know some people, again, I asked, where are the people that watch these videos? Where are you guys from? And I'm trying to get an idea, to give you a better picture for weather in your area. Right now there is a severe thunderstorm watch in effect for most of New England. Some severe weather up there. We can check the radar real quick. For New England, I'm going to add... We'll do Boston. Hopefully I didn't insult anybody there. Boston. See what this does. Don't often look at the weather up there. And you do see right there on radar, see these strong storms here? Let's zoom in. Moving into Rockville. What state is that? Connecticut? Connecticut. Stronger thunderstorms. You got this red area here indicating, I think that's a severe thunderstorm warning. Yeah. Severe thunderstorm warning, 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, quarter-size hail, and heavy rain. Excess of an inch. Looks like it's moving into Three Rivers, which is Massachusetts. West Brookfield here. So very strong thunderstorms that we're seeing there in New England. I'm going to go ahead and add that to the favorites. And let's look at one more site. Where else is this stuff at? Where else is this weather at? It's down here. New York. Yeah. Let's see. New York. Yeah, we'll do Philly. I can't do it. Alright. We'll choose Philly. Again, all these are areas that I have to watch at the airline. You may not care about it there in Central Florida, obviously. But this is the types of things that we do watch at the airline as far as our meteorologists are concerned. Again, you see some severe thunderstorm warnings, no tornado watches as of right now. Probably not enough wind shear going on. Good velocity here. Yeah, see, there's no reds and the greens here. There's no real rotation going on in the atmosphere. It takes a second, by the way, to load. That's why it looks weird like that. But as of right now, we don't really see any tornado watches out there, and that's why the National Weather Service Storm Prediction Center has predicted or has put out the severe thunderstorm watch. Sorry, Brandon, can't cool you down, man. I mean, it's too early in the season. It's too early in the season. It's just not. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. Sorry, we're not there yet. We don't have the. I'll show you what I look at for general trends in temperature at a big picture scale. I go up to the upper levels. I look at 500 millibar height, which is about 18,000 feet up. You notice right now, see the nice trough over Florida? See that trough? That's not red. It'd be blue, wouldn't it? Actually, I'm going to make it black. See the nice trough right now? See that? And it's bringing down some nice, drier, cooler air. Very mild. However, we go forward in time, and now the wind flow shifts because that trough's starting to move off, and the winds now are coming onshore from the Gulf. And as we all know, the Gulf is very warm, very muggy air there. There is that's the maritime tropical air masses. It's called muggy hot. That is that particular type. And I showed it earlier, but I'll show you again to unfortunately give you the bad news that temperatures will climb again for tomorrow. This is tomorrow evening. 89, 90. Sorry to say. And for the rest of the country, notice here, nice ridge over Utah, where I'm at, which has made it, nice and very warm conditions. It's been up there in the 90s as far as highs. However, part of the reason I moved on here, your relative humidity values are down in your teens and 20s versus Florida, where they're up there near 90. I'm not bragging. I'm just saying it's much drier here there on the West Coast versus the East Coast. This is just because of our nice California current, that California ocean current as it's called, that draws cool air right down from the Gulf of Alaska and moderates the temperature there here on the West Coast. And also, of course, we have these many mountain ranges. There's the Sierra Nevadas over here, right? There's some mountains over here. We got the Uinta Mountains over there. So we're in the rain shadow. So when the air flows in off or onshore, it rains out on these mountains over here. It's lifted adiabatically, as it's said in meteorology. It cools to dew point, creates clouds and rain, and that's why these areas here in western Washington state and there in the Sierra Nevadas are much more moist. There's many more trees. It's much more rainy and overcast versus the other side of the mountains where it's much drier because they're in the rain shadow, and that is the case here in Utah as well. So very mild. Very well, yeah. Terry says Vegas was miserable. It gets hot as hell in Vegas, in the summer. Salt Lake not quite as bad because we're further north and we're We're not there in the desert as much. And just to show you the pattern, again, still have that onshore flow, sorry. We have a nice ridge in place. Again, this would mean warmer conditions for Arizona, New Mexico, down here where the center of the high pressure is. And then we'll get, again, warm conditions, dry but warm for Utah going into the later part of the weekend. Still some ridging over Utah. Again, you're still getting hot, muggy conditions there for next week in Florida. And that's as far out as the Euro goes, and that's as far out as I'm going to go as far as the forecasts. I think that I have done a pretty thorough job briefing you on the hurricane tropical weather. Again, not seeing anything out in the tropics that is a threat at this point. I will say that I do think potentially, so we're going into a period where even though we got some hurricanes out there, we're not seeing nearly the same activity we saw over the last few weeks. I will, however, talk about a longer range forecast like I said last night, or I did last night, and then I'll close it down, showing you a model that can give us a good idea of some of the longer range climatology. Right now you see all the reds here, that's sinking air. That's why we haven't had any hurricanes forming there in the Caribbean recently. We see a little bit more neutral conditions here. And again, this is a measurement of the areas where the air is sinking, which is the red areas, and the areas where the air is rising. And so green areas are go, green areas are where the air is rising. I think there's a hurricane out here right now, or typhoon maybe even in the Pacific. Not sure. I'm not really going to check in on that. I don't know. I honestly care. But you see the neutral values, white, a little bit lighter shades in here, and that's where Lee formed. That's where, what did the other one was called? I don't even, Margot or whatever. So that's the forecast for basically through the end of the week here. So we go out another week. Now you notice these shades are getting a lot lighter. This is the end of September here. Now don't forget, hurricane season lasts through November. Okay. Thanks, Brandon. Says do a great job. Thank you very much. If you like what you're seeing, go ahead and like the video. Go ahead and share with friends. Get that information out to the people who need it, family and friends. And I know I go pretty in depth on here. It's not for everybody. This is a behind-the-scenes forecast, what you're getting, basically in real time. Now, this is exactly what they do at the National Weather Service and hurricane. Well, I should say more for broadcast, like local news, or at least they should be. But I'm doing it live for you as we stream this. But anyway, you start to see these lighter shades here. This is getting into 2 weeks out, end of September. And again, don't forget, hurricane season lasts through November. So we're not out of the woods by any stretch of the imagination. And you notice the green areas are really moving in. What you notice is it translates west to east, right? Weather moves west to east. It's the westerly wind belt here in the mid-latitudes in the northern hemisphere. And this is showing you what's called the Madden-Julian oscillation. It's an oscillation of energy rising and sinking air between two different regions of the planet. The tropical Pacific, the western Pacific, and the equatorial tropical Pacific, and the tropical Atlantic. Okay? And that area moves from west to east. And you'll see that as I go forward. So see how that's moving west to east here? That's 2 weeks out. It's a slow-moving process. This is big picture weather. It's called teleconnections in meteorology. Tele meaning between, right? And it's connected. A telephone. Remember, we get on the phone and call somebody. Remember that? Well, I guess we still do, but that's just, when I do this, that's different. Anyway, I'm old. I'm Gen X. Okay. Anyway, keep going forward, and now look, that green area has moved into our neck of the woods for 3 weeks out from now. So the end of September. So this is now a time frame that potentially we could start seeing another uptick in activity in the Atlantic. See, it's all green in here going all the way into October. Remember, we've seen storms all the way through October in the Atlantic, okay? And then, again, continuing to show some of those green areas, a little bit more active maybe for the Eastern Pacific. See, the green areas are really there in the East Pac. But you still see that the lighter, or the sinking air, or rising air, I should say, has moved or translated into those areas. You can also look at upper wind anomalies here. And so we want to see red. We want to see these red values is going to be the anomaly from normal. So that is normally west. So we get a little bit of easterly flow here, and a little bit more of a westerly flow. So this indicates some. Actually, I'm sorry. This is an anomaly as far as the speed is concerned. So these are lighter wind values in the upper levels. See the negative values for that end of September time frame. So again, lighter upper level winds, good for hurricanes. And then you really see, as you go forward, some of those areas, lighter wind anomalies for some of these time frames out there towards the end of September. Okay, so we look for these lighter upper level winds. And you see that right there in the Caribbean. Don't forget where Idalia came, and then here's another area where these tropical waves form. So again, right now activity, obviously we have two tropicals out there, but I do expect a decrease in activity over the next couple weeks, and then potentially another uptick towards the end of the month. 3 weeks out. All right. This is, by the way, long-range forecasting, so don't take it for fact. Don't take it at face value. This is computer modeling, but when you talk about big picture forecasts and big picture computer models, they do tend to be a little bit better with that because there's just not as much information for them to crunch, and they don't need the same type of resolution that we need when we're talking about smaller picture weather, mesoscale weather, like